Hi, my name's Amy Tetlow Baxter and today's webinar is Point of Sale Made Easy. So just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. The duration of this webinar will be approximately 20 minutes. My microphone is on, everyone else is being automatically muted. Your speakers must be turned on to hear this webinar, and questions will be taken during or at the end of the webinar using the chat box. So we've got quite a few different learning outcomes for today, and I do just need to point out that if you do miss any of the features today, you will be emailed this webinar afterwards so you can watch it over and over again. But the learning outcomes are you're going to know how to reschedule appointments easily, be able to view weekly appointments, understand how to filter down the appointment book, know how to view appointment history, be able to view upcoming appointments, be able to switch on key features to enable you to manage appointments easily, understand how the waitlist feature works, be able to group clients' appointments and bills together, easily manage online booking appointments, add products missing barcodes easily at the point of sale, know how to refund clients, and be able to add money to a client's account and pay off accounts. So before I go through to the live demonstration, I just wanted to show you how you can add products to the point of sale without a barcode. So some products just do not have barcodes, or it could be that you don't have a barcode scanner. You can always add products manually, but you also have the option to press the FN button, which is our function button, and the F3 button, which enables you to search for products by name. So if I take us to the live demonstration, I'll show you how that feature works. So in the point of sale, to add a product manually, if you go to the F3 button or function F3, you can search for a product. Click on it, click on the Done button, and it will add it to the point of sale. You can still add products manually by clicking on the empty line underneath Employee, find the product, choose several products at a time if you need to, and click the Done button, and it will add them all to the point of sale. But just to recap, that was the function F3 button if you want to manually search for a product. So now that we're actually in Shortcuts, the first thing I wanted to go through was to show you how you can turn on additional features that may assist you with the day-to-day running of your system. To do this, if I go into the setup on the bottom right hand side and go into configuration, you'll notice that it has opened up a menu on the left hand side. On the bottom left hand side, if I click on general, the first thing I'm going to go to is the appointment book, and make sure that you have show touch tip ticked. Also on the left hand side, if I click on the General tab, also make sure that you do have the tick display client dashboard available. Once you click Done, you may have to do a quick restart of Shortcuts to see these features working. So starting off with the touch tip. If I go into the appointment book and if I click on any appointment just once, you can see at the bottom of the page it's showing all appointments for that particular client. As you click on different clients, you'll see the different services highlighted at the bottom. The good thing here is you'll see the service times and what services are having done with the correct employee, and you'll also get the estimated cost at the bottom of the page. And that is called a touch tip. The other feature then that we switched on was the client dashboard. If I was to try and make an appointment today, If I find myself and click on me once, this is the client dashboard just here. You'll see how many visits and no-shows and cancellations. You'll also see the average client spend and also any outstanding series, future and past appointments. And that is a client dashboard. You can also get to this on the right hand side in the main menu if you go to clients, and again if we just search for our client in there, again you will see the dashboard. This is a great way to find future appointments for a client. Once you've found their name and click on them once, you'll see any future appointments that they have in the box just here. Alternatively, you can right click on an appointment and go into the schedule, and you will see in here if they do have any future appointments booked. As you can see, I don't have any today. You will also have, if you right click, the option to print out the schedule, but this will always print out via an A4 piece of paper and will not print out via the receipt printer. So they were the two features that I would always make sure are switched on in Shortcuts. If I go back to the appointment book, there's quite a few other things in here that are going to help you manage your day-to-day running of the system. The first thing is on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, we have this little filter button. Once you click on the filter, if we add a tick into rostered on and skip to different days, it will only show the people that are working on them particular days. To turn it off, if you click on the little filter button again, you can see it's disappeared. If I add it back on, you can see that Tom disappeared. Also in this little filter tab, we have a capabilities section. It could be that you have a hair and beauty salon and you wanted to look at maybe just the employees who could do beauty. If I had a little tick into capabilities and tick next to beauty, you can see that I have Becky in the background there, and she's the only person who does beauty in my salon. Again, to turn this feature off, where we have the green tick at the bottom left hand side of the page, if I click on that once, it will hide away that filter. There are a couple of extra bits in there as well, so if I just click on it again, you can also look at people via levels, so for example owner or stylist. You can search for a specific employee. This is quite good if you've got more than say 7 or 8 people on the page. You can look for just one person and it will bring Tom as the only person showing on that particular page. You have the choose employee section where you can click on the grey tab next to 2 employees or more employees if you wish. Once you click done, you'll see that it shows these 2 side by side. The next little feature in here is the review button. Especially if you're using the online booking feature, by ticking reviews, I would recommend that you do check this on a regular basis in the salon. Add a little tick into the page. You can see that I have no one booked online today, but I can see that I do have one for the 25th of April. So as soon as I've added the tick for review, this date has appeared. If I click on that date, you can see this is my online booking appointment just here. Most of the time we are allowing clients to be able to book say up to 60 days into the future. So by checking that regularly, you can actually just review appointments that have been booked for quite far into the future. Okay, and that is the appointment filter. If I just go back to today, I know you may get clients that call up and they want a specific employee and they may ask you, what appointments does that person have this week? On the appointment book, if you right click next to anyone's name at the top of the page, so for example Claire, once I right click and go to view week, I can see all of Claire's appointments for the week. I can also reschedule people from this view by just dragging them across to a different day. I can also make appointments from this view as well. So just to recap, if I right click on Claire and go to the View Week, you can move appointments around. It will never let you double book an appointment. And you can also make an appointment. So for example, if I wanted to make an appointment with Claire tomorrow, if I click on this empty line here, it takes me straight back through to finding the client and so on in order to make that appointment. That's one good way of being able to view appointments into the future, and you can look at several people at one time. So again, if I right click on Claire and go to View Week, on the bottom of the page you can skip to different days and different weeks. You can look up to 3 weeks into the future. Just bear in mind that it will look quite small, showing 3 weeks in one go. And if I select this employee section, I can click on the grey tab next to another employee. You can see that it looks like both buttons have been pressed in. Once I hit done, you can see Claire and Tom side by side for the week. To get off this page, if I hit done, it will take me back to the appointment book. And I'm just going to go back to today. Also, you can reschedule clients. By viewing the week, that is one way to reschedule, but there is another way that's my personal favourite. So let's imagine that Fran has called up today and she can't make her appointment. If I right click on her and go to the select option, it actually puts Fran into the little folder at the bottom of the page. I can then choose a different day to book Fran in for. I can click on the little folder button at the bottom of the page, and using the grey tab next to her name, I can drag her onto the appointment book. Once you do drag them and let go, it will ask you if you want to move the selected appointment. Once you say yes, it will remove it from that original page and move it onto this page. So I'm just going to do that again and move Fran back to today. So if I right click on Fran and go to select, if I go back to today and click on the highlighted file on the bottom left hand side of my screen, using the grey tab next to Fran's name, I can click and drag her onto the appointment book. Once you let go, it will ask you if you want to move the selected appointment. If you say yes, it will remove Fran from the Wednesday onto today. With that in mind, just in case you do try this and you make any mistakes, if you do move anything around on the appointment book, in the menu tab on the bottom right hand side, we do have an undo last action button. I wouldn't recommend relying on it, but it's a good little tip to know that that's there. If I just click on undo last action, it will ask me if I'm sure I want to undo. If I say yes, you can see it's moved Fran back down to the original place that I booked her in for. If you want to check appointment history, so if you want to see who's made the appointment, who's rescheduled the appointment, and so on, if you right click on the appointment in the appointment book and hover over extra, you'll notice there that we have an appointment history. If I click on appointment history, you can see when the appointment's been moved, created, etc. The employee's name would usually appear in here. I have turned the security off this today, but you would usually be able to see who has made and changed the appointment. You'll see if we drag over to the right hand side, you can see the dates and the description of what has actually been happening with that particular appointment. Just to recap, that was right click on the appointment into the extra field and appointment history. And that will show the history of that particular appointment. Again, if I just go into the client section over on the right hand side in the main menu, and if I right click on myself, you'll also see that there is an appointment history in there as well. That appointment history will show you the history for all the appointments that have been made. So not particularly that one on that day. Okay, and that is looking at appointment history. The next thing we're going to do is actually have a look at the wait list. So the worst thing is when you've got a computer, we don't want to be having scrappy pieces of paper around with different clients' names on that maybe can't get an appointment for today. So we do have a waitlist feature in Shortcuts, and you'll find it in the appointment book. If I click on this green plus on the bottom right hand side of the page next to the menu tab, first of all, I'm going to choose the day to book the appointment. So I'm actually going to try and book this for today. So as you'll see there, it's looking at quite far in the future, but if I click on the 2 where it says Sunday the 23rd, and I'm going to change that to today's date, which is the 24th, you can see I'm only available today, and I'm only available between 2 and 4. On the left hand side, we can now choose our client, so I'm going to stick with myself for now. And we can also select our service. Okay, if you do select the wrong service, feel free to remove it with the little recycle bin, and you can add new services in here. Okay, you also have the option to tag the client, but if you don't do that now, you will be asked when you actually make the appointment if one becomes available. You can also select the employee. So I'm just going to select Claire for now, and I'm going to search for an appointment. As you can see, no available times could be found. Would I like to add the client to the wait list? I'm going to say yes. It will always ask you if you want to perform another search for that client. I'm going to say no just for now. So what I am going to do is just delete the client that I had in there. I might just move them over. Okay. So if a time does become available, you'll see on the bottom left hand side that it gave me a little wait list alert there. If I click on this little egg timer and look at all requests for Monday the 24th, you can now see that my appointment is bookable. If I click on that particular appointment and hit schedule, you can see that there is now an appointment available at 3 o'clock. If I click on there and hit book, it will then ask me to tag the client. There we go. And that is how you use the wait list. Okay. The next little feature on the appointment book is grouping clients. So you can group clients just for a colour identifier so you know when clients have come in together, or you can do it for payment reasons as well. So to group clients, you have a couple of different ways to do this. You can go into the menu tab and go into appointment groups, or you can right click on the clients and go to add to group. If I click on add to new group, and I'm just going to leave it as group 1 for today, you'll see that this client has now got a little colour tag on there. If I then find another client that we want to group with the same person, as you can see, if I right click and go into add to group, I can now add them to group 1, and it will also give them the same tag. I'm just going to arrive my clients. So in order to do this, if I now, let's say both my clients came in, if I right click and go to the checkout, you can see now we've got the option to check out that individual client, so just Sarah Davis, or I can check out the group. If I click on checkout group, it will group the bill at the point of sale. So it automatically has brought me to the point of sale, and you can see the group total. At the top, if I click on the little drop down, I can then select individual clients again, and then go back to my group. That's one way of grouping appointments. Like I say, it's good for colour coordinating them and also for grouping their bill. However, if you don't do that, and maybe you've just brought a client to the point of sale and then you realize that you need to group them, at the top of the page, so we're in the point of sale at the moment, and if I click on the little drop down at the top, you'll see in there that we have a tab that says hash group. If I click on hash group and click on the grey tab next to the two clients I want to group together and hit done, it can be more than one client. You would literally just click on the grey tab next to all the clients you want to group. Once you hit done, again, it will give me that group bill and you will see the clients side by side at the top of the page. Again, you do have the option to click on the drop down and choose individual clients. Maybe if one client wants to buy a retail product and the other one doesn't. But once you've made changes, if you go back to the group, you can then take the bill as one go. You can then choose the payment method and end the sale as normal. And that's a great way to be able to group your clients. So a couple of other things that I wanted to show you today was how you can actually perform refunds and also account payments. First of all, we'll go through refunds. So in the point of sale, if I find the client that I want to refund on the top left hand side, so again, I'll just find myself for today. You can look at their history to see the products that they've purchased in the past and who they purchased the products off. But if I hit done, and if I just use my function F3 button and find the product that I want to be refunded for and click done. So as you can see, at the moment it looks like I'm still ready to pay. But if I change the quantity to -1 and hit done, you can now see that it's asking for cash out. If I end the sale, you can choose how you're paying the client back. So I'm going to say cash. And in here, it's important that you choose the right reason, especially when you are returning stock. So you can choose the reason as to why the product has been refunded. So I'm going to say incorrect product. And in here where it says select an action for the refunded products, if you add it back to the stock, it's like it's adding it back to your shelf. If you return it to the manufacturer, it's going to go straight back there and it isn't going to go into your current level in your stock counts. And if you're discarding it, you're obviously just throwing it away. But if I just go add to stock and click done, the cash drawer would then fire. You'd take the product off the client and you would give them their refund and print a receipt if you need to. So with refunds, you're bringing the product or the service that you're refunding them to the point of sale and just changing the quantity to -1. So the next thing I wanted to go through, or the last thing really, was the account payments. This is great if you have clients that regularly don't turn up for appointments, or maybe it's a service where it's really, really long, like hair extensions or something like that. In the point of sale, you first of all need to find the client. So if I go to clients on the top left hand side and find myself again, if we wanted to put money onto the client's account, so like a deposit, I would click on the empty line underneath employee, and this money would always go to the business. So the business is just holding this money until the client has a service done. If I click on business and go into accounts, and I'm going to put £50 on my account, so I'm paying £50 deposit today. Once you've chosen the amount, you would choose how the client is paying that deposit. So I'm going to say cash for today, and you would end the sale. And that's how you take a deposit. So a way to check if that has gone through, if you go into the client section again and find the client, if they've got a green book, it means they are in credit with you and you'll see the amount. If you ever see a red book, it means that that client owes you money, and it will show you the amount in here as well. So I'm just going to bring myself back to the point of sale today, and I'm now going to put a service through. Okay, so I've brought my services, so you would check the client out as normal. But as you brought that client to the point of sale, can you see we've got the green book on the top right hand side? If I right click on there, you'll see the amount of money that I have that I've paid as a deposit that's on my account. To take that money off the client's account, we would go back to the briefcase on the bottom left hand side. So I'm now paying with my account money, and you would enter the amount that the client has in credit. It will then ask you to pay the remaining balance, the £1. I'll pay cash, click on done, and end the sale. So you're now taking that money, so you're using that money on the account, and that money would now be credited to the employees that have done that particular service. Okay, and that's pretty much everything that I wanted to go through with you today. So just as a summary, today we've looked at how to reschedule appointments easily, view weekly appointments and book from the week view. We know how to filter down the appointment book and easily monitor online bookings. Know how to manage future appointments and view appointment history. Know how to use the waitlist efficiently. Be able to group clients' appointments and client bills. Add money onto a client's account and pay off accounts, and we know how to refund transactions. So if anybody does have any questions for me, please add them to the little chat box. I'm just going to check over them now and see if anything's come through. I'll give you a few minutes just to write any questions you may have. Like I say, I know we've covered quite a lot today. You will get a copy of the recording as well. Okay, I'm going to keep an eye on the questions. There's nothing that's come through at the moment. Just so you know, you can watch more webinars if you go to our website and go to the webinars tab. And we also have a fantastic learning centre on there as well, which shows you lots of different videos, and you can get user guides on there also. And you can contact us via Facebook or again on our website, or feel free to give us a quick call as well. I'm just going to double check over one more time to make sure nothing has come through. We have just got one. Bear with me. I'm just going to read over it. Okay, perfect. So we do have somebody who's just mentioned about a client. So what the client does is throughout the month they'll have lots of different services done, and then at the end of the month they'll then actually pay for the whole services in one go. So let me just take us back to shortcuts quickly. Okay, so if that is the case, so let me just find myself again. So you would still add the client as as a normal appointment. You would go to the checkout option. So let me just add myself. So if a client has come, they've had a service done, but they're not paying you there and then, what you would actually do, you would use the payment option at the bottom of the page, the little briefcase, the bottom left-hand side. Click on that briefcase, and you're basically saying that that client is paying with their account. So if I just put that through to there and end the sale. Once that client comes to pay you at the end of the month, you would come back to the point of sale and go into clients. And can you see now that I've got this red book? That means that I'm in debt. So I actually owe you money. So throughout the month, it could be that they owe you £100 at the end of the month. You would find that client and bring them back to the point of sale. Again, once we click on the empty line underneath employee, I'll just put this to the business, and I'm going to go to account. You'll see automatically in there it's brought the full total that I owe you. So if they've been coming for a full month and they owe you £100 in total, the full amount would appear in here, and you would then choose how they're paying off their account. So for example, if I choose card for today and end the sale. So like I say, bring them to the point of sale, check them out as normal, apart from your choosing the account payment as being their payment method until the end of the month when they can then pay off their account. I'm just going to read over. I think I may have a couple more. So I do have one in there that says, why wasn't the refund done from the client history? To be honest, it's just for speed. I always do it at the point of sale. So I'd go to the point of sale, find the client, and then I would refund them, find the product manually, and then just change the quantity to -1. The only time I ever really go from the client history is if I was ever refunding like a gift card or something like that. Like I say, it's just a little bit faster. Okay, I've just had another little question about how you can stop the online booking, putting everyone new as a new client tag rather than an online booking tag. You can actually change that. If you go into the Shortcuts customer console and go into the Book Me settings, there is an option in there to choose what tag is put next to the client's name when they actually make that online booking appointment. And we would always recommend that you do create a tag that's called OLB for online booking. If you're unsure, please, you can send us an email and I will talk you through it step by step. Also, just so you know, with the online booking, the one thing we don't want to get is duplicate clients. So in order to do that, another little tab that should always be ticked is in the setup on the bottom right hand side. And then if we go to configuration, on the bottom left where we've got this new menu, you have in the general section, you've got check for duplicate clients. Please make sure that that is ticked. What happens then, as clients are making their appointments, obviously the first time they make an appointment online, Shortcuts doesn't necessarily know that that is the same client. It will pick up on several things though, so first name, last name, email address, telephone number. So when you see appointments that do look like this, that are online booking appointments, please always make sure you do right click on them and go into the reviewed section once you have checked over. If that client is a duplicate, at this point it will always ask you to merge that client if they are the same person, and that's key because we don't want to fill our database full of duplicate clients. I'm just going to check over to see if there's any other questions. Okay, there is one question in there, but I might contact you directly because I might just have to have a little look over your system just to see how it's set up. But I think that's it for all of the other questions today. Like I said, feel free to contact us at any point if you want to, just if you've got any other questions of anything like that. But thank you very much for your time today, and I will see you on the next webinar. Thank you.